He thought he saved 2 alien sisters, but the Raiders' seed showed why they'd been sealed away. Part 1. The asteroid field stretched endlessly in all directions. A graveyard of broken ships and forgotten dreams. Deho maneuvered his salvage vessel through the debris with practiced ease. He had been doing this work for 8 years now, picking through the bones of dead spacecraft looking for anything worth selling. It was lonely work, but it paid enough to keep him flying. His scanner beeped. Something unusual lay ahead, buried in the wreckage of what looked like an ancient freighter. The energy signature was strange, pulsing with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. Deho frowned at his screen. In all his years out here, he had never seen readings like this. He guided his ship closer and suited up. The walk across the wreckage took 20 minutes. When he finally found the source of the signal, he stopped and stared. A pod sat in the middle of the destroyed cargo bay, covered in symbols he could not read. The metal was black and smooth, untouched by the damage around it. Frost covered its surface and lights blinked slowly along its edges. Deho circled the pod carefully. The symbols looked like warnings, but he could not be sure. His translator could not make sense of them. They were too old, from a language his computers did not recognize. He should have left it alone. He should have marked the location and sold the coordinates to someone else. But curiosity had always been his weakness. He found the control panel and studied it. The pod was a stasis chamber, that much was clear. Someone or something was inside, frozen in time. The power cell was still active after who knew how many years. Deho hesitated. Opening unknown alien containers was a good way to die in space. But the signal had been calling out as if asking for help. He pressed the release button. The pod hissed and the frost melted away. The lid opened slowly, releasing a cloud of cold vapor. Deho stepped back, hand moving to the plasma cutter on his belt. The vapor cleared and he saw 2 figures lying inside. They were female, or at least appeared to be. Their features were humanoid enough, with pale skin and dark hair, but their skin had strange markings that glowed faintly with blue light. Their eyes, when they opened, were violet and bright. The first one sat up quickly, gasping for air. She looked around wildly, confused and frightened. The second one moved more slowly, blinking as if waking from a long dream. They saw Deho and froze. For a long moment nobody moved. Then the first one spoke. Her words were broken and strange, mixing several languages together. Please. Not hurt us, please. Deho lowered his hand from his weapon. I am not going to hurt you. Are you okay? The second one helped her sister out of the pod. They both stood on shaky legs, holding each other for support. They wore simple white clothes that looked like medical gowns. The glowing marks on their skin pulsed gently with each heartbeat. Where are we? The second one asked. Her voice was clearer than her sister's. You are in the outer rim, in human space, Deho said slowly. I found your pod in this wreck. How long have you been in there? The 2 sisters looked at each other. The first one spoke again. We do not remember. Long time. Very long. Who put you in there? Fear crossed their faces. The second sister shook her head. Bad people. They lock us away, said we were dangerous, but we did nothing wrong. We just wanted to be free. Deho studied them. They looked scared and confused, not dangerous. Whatever had happened to them, they had been prisoners. He knew what it felt like to be trapped, to want freedom more than anything. What are your names? He asked. I am Hana, the first one said, pointing to herself. Then she pointed to her sister. This is Yuri. I am Deho. I run salvage operations out here. He looked around at the destroyed ship. This place is not safe. My vessel is nearby. You can come with me if you want. Hana and Yuri talked to each other in a language he could not understand. Their words were quick and worried. Finally, Yuri nodded and turned to him. You help us? Why? Deho shrugged. Because you need help. And because nobody should be locked in a box for crimes they did not commit. The sisters followed him back to his ship. They moved carefully as if their bodies were not used to walking. Deho helped them across the dangerous gaps in the wreckage. When they reached his vessel, he brought them inside and gave them water and food. They ate slowly, watching him with those strange violet eyes. Hana smiled at him, and for the first time she seemed to relax. Thank you. You are a kind person. Just doing what anyone would do, Deho said. He pulled up his star charts. I need to head back to my base. It will take about 2 weeks. You can stay in the spare cabin. Yuri stood and walked to the window. She looked out at the stars with an expression Daeho could not read. 2 weeks, she repeated. We have not seen stars in so long. How long were you in that pod? Daeho asked again. Yuri turned to look at him. We do not know for certain, but based on what we see, perhaps thousands of years. The words hit Daeho like a physical blow. Thousands of years. These two had been locked away for millennia, frozen in time while the galaxy moved on without them. Whatever civilization had put them there was probably long gone. Then you really are free now, he said quietly. Whatever put you in there is dead and gone. Hana and Yuri looked at each other again. Something passed between them, some silent communication. Then Hana smiled, but there was sadness in it. Yes, she said, we are free. Over the next few days, Daeho set course for his base and the sisters settled into life aboard his ship. They learned quickly, picking up his language with surprising speed. Hana was curious about everything, asking endless questions about humanity and the current state of the galaxy. Yuri was quieter, spending hours watching the stars pass by. Daeho found himself enjoying their company. It had been a long time since he had anyone to talk to besides his ship's computer. The sisters were strange, yes, but they were also kind and grateful. They helped with small tasks around the ship and seemed genuinely interested in learning about his life. On the 5th day, something strange happened. They were passing through an empty sector when Hana suddenly stood up from the table. Her eyes went distant and her markings began to glow brighter. Something comes, she whispered. What? Daeho checked his scanners. I do not see anything. But 30 seconds later, his proximity alarm blared. 3 pirate ships appeared on his screen, coming out of a nearby asteroid cluster. They had been hiding, waiting to ambush passing vessels. Daeho barely had time to engage his shields before the first shots hit. He threw the ship into evasive maneuvers, heading for a nearby debris field where the pirates would have trouble following. How did you know? He shouted over the sound of alarms. Hana looked frightened. I felt them. Their intentions. They escaped the pirates, but Daeho could not stop thinking about what had happened. Hana had known the pirates were there before his scanners detected them. That was not normal, not for any species he knew. That night he pulled up the images he had taken of the pod. He studied the symbols more carefully, running them through every database he had. Most came up empty, but one symbol matched something in an old archive. It was not a translation, just a reference. The symbol meant warning in an ancient language that predated most known civilizations. Daeho looked at the closed door to the spare cabin where the sisters were sleeping. A small doubt crept into his mind. What if they had not been prisoners? What if there had been another reason for sealing them away? He pushed the thought aside. They had done nothing wrong. They were just 2 people who had been locked up unfairly. He would help them start a new life, and that would be the end of it. But deep down, a small voice whispered that nothing was ever that simple. He thought he saved 2 alien sisters, but the raiders' siege showed why they'd been sealed away. Part 2 3 weeks had passed since Daeho found the sisters, and his small base on the mining station felt different now, less empty. Hana and Yuri had brought life to the quiet corridors where he usually worked alone. They were learning quickly, adapting to their new world with remarkable speed. The mining station, called Far Point, was home to about 200 people. Most were miners, traders, or salvage workers like Daeho. It was not much, just a collection of modules attached to a large asteroid. But it was safe and far from the core worlds where too many questions got asked. Daeho's crew was small, just 2 people besides himself. Bora was his engineer, a tough woman in her 40s who could fix anything with enough time and spare parts. She had worked with Daeho for 5 years and trusted him completely. Then there was Taemin, a young pilot barely 20 years old, full of energy and bad jokes. He had joined them 6 months ago, running from something in his past that he never talked about. Both of them had been suspicious when Daeho brought the sisters home. You found them in a sealed pod covered in warning symbols and you just opened it? Bora had said, her voice flat with disbelief. That is possibly the dumbest thing you have ever done. They needed help, Daeho had replied. They could be anything. Criminals, bioweapons, monsters. They are just people. Bora. But even Bora was warming up to them now. It was hard not to. Hana had a way of making people smile with her endless curiosity and honest enthusiasm. She spent hours in the workshop with Bora, asking questions about how everything worked. At first, Bora answered in short, suspicious sentences, but gradually she began to teach Hana about engines and power systems. Yuri was different. She was quieter, more careful with her words. She spent most of her time reading, going through the station's entire database of history and culture. Daeho would find her in the common room late at night, her violet eyes reflecting the glow of the screen, absorbing centuries of knowledge she had missed. Taemin was completely smitten with both of them, though he tried to hide it. He would find excuses to be near them, offering to show them around the station or teach them how to play various games. The sisters seemed amused by his attention but kept a polite distance. Everything seemed normal. Almost. Small things kept happening that Daeho could not explain. Hana always knew when someone was approaching before they knocked. Yuri could tell when machines were about to break down, often mentioning it hours before any warning lights appeared, and their strength was unusual. Daeho had seen Yuri lift a cargo container that should have required 3 people, and she had done it without any visible effort. When he asked about it, they always had the same answer. "Our people evolved differently," Hana would say with a gentle smile. "We are just a little stronger, a little more aware than humans." Daeho wanted to believe them. They had been nothing but kind and helpful since they arrived. They worked hard, learning everything they could about their new life. They never complained. They seemed genuinely grateful for the chance to be free. But sometimes he would catch them looking at each other with worried expressions, having silent conversations he could not hear. And at night, he sometimes heard them talking in their own language, their voices tense and afraid. One morning, Daeho received a message on his private channel. It was from an old contact named Minho, someone he had not heard from in years. The message was short and strange. "Heard you found something out in Sector 47. Be careful, friend. Some things were locked away for good reasons. If you found what I think you found, seal it back up and forget you ever saw it. Trust me on this." Daeho stared at the message for a long time. How did Minho know what he had found? He had not told anyone except Bora and Taemin, and both of them knew to keep quiet about it. The sisters were not registered anywhere. They did not officially exist. He should have replied, should have asked questions. But something stopped him. Instead, he deleted the message and tried to forget about it. That evening, they all gathered in the common room for dinner. It had become a routine, the 5 of them sharing a meal together. Bora had even started cooking proper food instead of just heating rations. "I have been reading about human music," Yuri said during the meal. "It is fascinating how much emotion you can put into sound patterns." "You should hear Taemin sing," Bora said with a smirk. "That will teach you about noise pollution." Taemin threw a piece of bread at her. "I sing beautifully, thank you very much," everyone laughed. Hana looked around the table with bright eyes. "This is nice. Being with friends. We never had this before." "What was your life like?" Taemin asked. "Before you were put in the pod?" The laughter died. Hana and Yuri exchanged one of their looks. Finally, Hana spoke. "We do not remember much. It was a long time ago. There was war, we think. Lots of fear. People did things they thought were necessary." "And they locked you up?" Bora asked. "They were afraid," Yuri said softly. "Fear makes people do cruel things." "But you are free now," Daeho said firmly. "That is what matters." Hana smiled at him, but her eyes were sad. "Yes, we are free." The next day, something happened that changed everything. Daeho was in his workshop going over the accounts when alarms started blaring throughout the station. His communicator crackled to life. "All personnel, this is station security. We have a breach in the lower storage bay. Hull integrity compromised. Emergency crews respond immediately." Daeho ran. The lower bay was where they stored volatile materials. If those containers broke open, they could blow a hole in the station. He grabbed his emergency kit and headed down with the rest of the response team. When he arrived, he found chaos. A support beam had collapsed, puncturing the hull. Air was screaming out through the hole. 3 workers were trapped on the other side of the breach, separated by twisted metal and the vacuum beyond. "We need to seal that hole now," the security chief shouted. "Where are the emergency patches?" "They will not hold," someone else yelled back. "That hole is too big."
"We need to evacuate this section and seal the doors. Those people will die."
Daeho looked at the trapped workers. They were trying to put on emergency suits, but their hands were shaking too badly. They had maybe 2 minutes before the air ran out completely. Then Yuri pushed past him. "Wait, what are you doing?" Daiho reached for her, but she was already moving toward the breach. She walked calmly into the screaming wind, her clothes whipping around her. The glowing marks on her skin began to shine brighter, pulsing with light. She reached the hole in the hull and placed both hands on the twisted metal. Everyone stopped and stared. Yuri's entire body began to glow. The light was so bright that Daiho had to shield his eyes. The metal around the breach started to move, flowing like liquid, sealing itself shut. Within seconds, the hole was gone. The screaming wind stopped. Silence fell over the bay. Yuri turned around. Her eyes were glowing pure white and energy crackled around her hands. Then she collapsed. Daiho caught her before she hit the ground. Her skin was burning hot. The other workers just stood there frozen in shock. "What the hell is she?" someone whispered. Daiho lifted Yuri in his arms. She was unconscious but breathing. "She just saved 3 lives. That is what she is." He carried her back to his quarters with Hana running alongside him, her face pale with worry. They laid Yuri on the bed. Her markings were fading back to their normal soft glow. "Is she okay?" Daiho asked. Hana nodded, tears in her eyes. "She will recover. But she should not have done that. It takes so much strength. We promised we would not use our abilities." "Your abilities? Hana, what are you?" Hana looked at him with those violet eyes, and for the first time he saw something ancient in them. Something that had seen things he could not imagine. "We are what our people created during a war that ended before your species learned to make fire," she said quietly. "We were made to be weapons, living weapons. That is why they sealed us away. Not because we were criminals, but because we were too dangerous to let free." Daiho sat down heavily. "Why did you not tell me? Would you have helped us if you knew?" He thought about it. Would he have? If he had known they were bioweapons from an ancient war, would he have opened that pod? He looked at Yuri, unconscious on the bed. She had just used her power to save 3 strangers, and it had nearly killed her. Then he looked at Hana, who was crying silent tears, terrified of what he might say. "Yes," he said finally. "I still would have helped you. Because you are not weapons. You are people. And people deserve freedom." Hana broke down crying. Daiho held her while she sobbed, all the fear and pain of millennia finally coming out. Outside, word of what had happened was spreading through the station, and in the darkness of space, far from Farpoint, something had noticed the energy signature of Yuri's power, something that had been searching for exactly that signal for a very long time. He thought he saved 2 alien sisters, but the Raiders' siege showed why they'd been sealed away. Part 3, 2 days after Yuri saved the workers, Farpoint Station was tense. Word had spread about what people had seen. The station's small population was divided. Some thought the sisters were heroes. Others wanted them removed immediately, afraid of what else they might be able to do. Daiho had kept them in his quarters, letting Yuri rest and recover. She had woken up the morning after the incident, weak but alive. The first thing she said was an apology. "I am sorry. I broke our promise. But I could not let those people die." "You did the right thing," Daiho told her. "Never apologize for saving lives." But now everyone knew what they were. Station security had come by twice asking questions. The station administrator wanted to meet with the sisters personally. Daiho had put them off, saying Yuri needed more time to recover, but he knew he could not avoid it forever. Bora and Taemin had been quiet since learning the truth. Bora seemed more thoughtful than afraid, but Taemin looked nervous whenever he was near the sisters now. On the 3rd day, Daiho decided they needed supplies and a plan. He left his quarters to head to the market section of the station. The corridors were busy with the usual traffic of workers and traders. Then the alarms started. These were different from the emergency alarms. These were the attack warnings, the ones that meant hostile ships were approaching. Daiho had only heard them once before 5 years ago, when pirates had tried to raid the station. He ran to the nearest observation deck. Through the window he could see them. 6 large warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel, their hulls painted red and black. He recognized the markings. Everyone in the outer rim knew those markings. The Crimson Void Raiders. They were the most feared mercenary fleet in known space. They took what they wanted and left nothing behind but wreckage. They did not negotiate, did not take prisoners, and never showed mercy. If they were here, it meant someone had paid them a fortune to attack Farpoint. The station's defensive guns opened fire. but it was like throwing stones at armored tanks. The raiders' shields held easily. Return fire came swift and brutal. The first shots took out the station's main power generator. Lights flickered and went dark, replaced by emergency red lighting. Deho's communicator came alive with panicked voices. All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Raiders are boarding at multiple points. South dock is breached. They are coming through. Where is security? We need security at the market level. Deho ran back toward his quarters. He had to get to the sisters, had to make sure they were safe. The corridors were filled with people running in all directions, some toward defensive positions, others toward the emergency shelters. An explosion rocked the station. Deho was thrown against a wall. His ears rang and his vision blurred. He forced himself up and kept moving. When he reached his quarters, he found Hana and Yuri already preparing to leave. They had put on the simple spacesuits Deho had given them. Both looked terrified. "We need to get to the shelter," Deho said. "No." Hana grabbed his arm. Her grip was strong enough to hurt. "They are here for us." "What? How do you know?" Yuri moved to the window. Even through the chaos, her voice was calm. 2 days ago, I used my power. It sends out a signal, a specific energy pattern that only our kind makes. If anyone was looking for that signal, they would have seen it across half the sector. "The raiders are hunting you?" "Not the raiders themselves," Hana said. "But someone hired them to find us. Someone who knows what we are." Another explosion, closer this time. The floor shook. "Then we run," Deho said. "We get to my ship and we leave." "If we run, they will destroy this station looking for us," Yuri said. "Everyone here will die. If you stay, you will die. And they will probably destroy the station anyway." The sisters looked at each other, having one of their silent conversations. Finally, Hana nodded. "We will come, but if there is no other choice, we will surrender ourselves to save everyone else." They moved through the corridors carefully. The station was in chaos. Raiders were already inside, their armored figures moving through the smoke and darkness. They were not here to steal supplies or take hostages. They were searching for something specific. Deho led them through maintenance tunnels that most people did not know about. They could hear fighting above them, the sounds of gunfire and screaming. The station's security forces were trying to hold them back, but they were badly outnumbered. They were halfway to the docking bay when they ran into Bora and Taemin. The two had been heading to the same place. "Thank God you are alive," Bora said. She had a plasma rifle in her hands and blood on her face. "We need to leave now." "My thought exactly," Deho replied. They continued together, moving fast. They were almost at the docking bay when a voice boomed through the station's speakers. It was deep and cold, speaking in perfect human language with an accent Deho could not place. "People of Farpoint Station, I am Commander Corvin of the Crimson Void Raiders. We are not here for your resources or your lives. We are here for 2 specific individuals. Surrender them to us within 1 hour, or this station will be reduced to debris. You have seen what they can do. You know they are dangerous. Give them to us and we will leave peacefully. Refuse and everyone dies." Silence fell across the station. Even the sounds of fighting stopped. Hana closed her eyes. "They really did come for us." "How do they know you are here?" Taemin asked. "They must have sensors that can detect our energy signatures," Yuri said. "The same way they detected my power usage 2 days ago." Bora looked at Deho. "What do we do?" Before he could answer, a group of station residents appeared, blocking their path. There were about 20 of them, some armed with whatever they could find. A man at the front, one of the mining supervisors, stepped forward. "You need to come with us," he said to the sisters. "We are taking you to the main deck. The administrator wants to negotiate with the raiders." "You mean you are going to hand them over?" Deho said. "To save everyone else?" "Yes, that is exactly what we are going to do." Deho moved in front of Hana and Yuri. "That is not happening. Move aside, Deho. This is not your choice to make. They are under my protection. That makes it exactly my choice." The man raised his weapon, some kind of industrial cutting tool modified into a gun. "There are 20 of us and 5 of you. Do not make this harder than it needs to be." Taemin and Bora moved to stand beside Deho, weapons ready. The tension was thick enough to cut. Then Hana stepped forward, moving past Deho's protective stance. "Stop," she said quietly. "No one else should die because of us. We will go." "Hana, no." Deho grabbed her arm. She looked at him with those ancient violet eyes. "It is the right thing to do. You taught us that. Sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself to protect others. Not like this. If they wanted to leave peacefully, they would not have attacked first. They are going to take you and then destroy the station anyway. These are raiders. They do not keep their word. The mining supervisor shook his head. You do not know that. Maybe they will leave if we cooperate. I know exactly what they will do, Deho said. I have seen what the Crimson Void leaves behind. Empty stations floating in space. No survivors ever, another voice came through the speakers. Commander Corvin again. Your time is running out. 50 minutes remaining. After that, we start venting sections of the station into space, section by section, starting with the areas where civilians are sheltering. Choose wisely. The crowd blocking their path looked uncertain now. Some lowered their weapons. We need to decide, someone said. There is nothing to decide, Bora said. Deho is right. Raiders do not make deals. If we give them the sisters, we all die anyway. Then what do you suggest? The supervisor demanded. We fight, Deho said. All of us together. We hold them off as long as we can and hope help arrives. Help? Out here, we are weeks away from any military support. Then we die fighting instead of begging. At least that way we keep our dignity. The crowd was splitting now, some agreeing with Deho, others still wanting to hand over the sisters. The argument was getting heated. Then Yuri spoke, her voice cutting through the noise. There is another option. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood tall despite her recent weakness, her markings beginning to glow faintly. Hana and I were built to be weapons. We have spent thousands of years running from that purpose, trying to be something else. But maybe this is what we were meant for. Not to destroy, but to protect. Yuri, no, Hana said. We promised we would never use our full power again. You know what happens when we do, I know. But I also know that Deho was right. Sometimes you have to fight for your freedom, and for the freedom of others. Deho looked between the two sisters. What are you saying? Yuri met his eyes. We can stop them. Together, Hana and I can stop the raiders, but we will need your help to make sure we do not go too far, to make sure we stay in control. How? Stay with us. Keep talking to us. Remind us who we are. As long as we can hear your voice, we can stay human enough. The station shook with another impact. Time was running out. He thought he saved 2 alien sisters, but the raiders. Seed showed why they'd been sealed away. Part 4. They barricaded themselves in one of the station's old storage rooms, while the station continued to shake around them. Deho had sent the crowd away, convincing them to focus on evacuating civilians to the safer intersections. Now it was just the 5 of them, and time was running out. 30 minutes left until Commander Corvin started venting sections. Tell me everything, Deho said to the sisters. No more half-truths. If we are going to do this, I need to know exactly what you are. Hana and Yuri sat on storage crates, their faces illuminated by the emergency lighting. They looked tired, old. For the first time, Deho could see the weight of their millennia pressing down on them. Yuri spoke first, her voice steady and calm. Our species, the Kalan, were an ancient race. We built an empire that spanned hundreds of worlds. We thought we were enlightened, peaceful. Then the Devourers came. Devourers? Taman asked. A hive mind species from another galaxy. They consumed everything in their path. Entire planets stripped of life in days. They moved like a plague across the stars and nothing could stop them. Hana continued the story. The Kalan tried to fight with conventional weapons. Ships, soldiers, all the normal tools of war. But the Devourers adapted too quickly. For every 100 of them we killed, 1,000 more came. We were losing. Badly. So they made you, Bora said. Yuri nodded. The Kalan created the Harbinger Project. 12 living weapons bioengineered from birth to channel energy in ways that no machine could replicate. We were not just soldiers. We were walking apocalypses. Each of us could destroy cities with a thought. Together we could crack planets. The room was silent except for the distant sounds of fighting. They designed us to feel nothing, Hana said quietly. No fear, no pain, no mercy. Just the ability to kill efficiently. But something went wrong. Or maybe right, depending on how you look at it. We developed emotions, feelings, consciousness. We became people instead of weapons. And you fought anyway? Deho asked. We did, Yuri said, because the Devourers would have killed everyone if we did not. For 10 years, the 12 of us fought across the galaxy. We pushed the Devourers back inch by inch. We destroyed their hive ships, burned their breeding grounds, hunted them through the void. And we won. But the cost was terrible, Hana whispered. We destroyed so much, entire star systems left dead. We told ourselves it was necessary, that we were saving lives. But we killed billions. When the war ended, the Kalan looked at us and realized what they had created, Yuri said. We were too powerful, too dangerous. Even though we had saved them, they were terrified of us. What if we decided we did not want to stop fighting? What if we turned our power against them? So they sealed you away, Bora said. All 12 of us, yes. Put into stasis pods and scattered across the galaxy, hidden in places where no one would ever find us. With warnings carved into our prisons to make sure no one ever let us out. Deho felt sick. How long ago was this? The war ended approximately 12,000 years ago, Yuri said. We were sealed away shortly after. The Kalan civilization collapsed about 6,000 years later. As far as we know, our species is extinct. We might be the last of our kind. Taemin shook his head. 12,000 years. And there are 10 others like you still out there somewhere? In theory, yes. We do not know if they are still alive, still sealed, or if someone has found them. We have no way of knowing. And now someone has found you, Deho said. Someone who knows what you are and sent raiders to capture you. Not just capture, Hana said. Use. Whoever hired Commander Corvin wants to weaponize us again. Turn us into tools for conquest. An explosion rocked the station closer than before. The raiders were pushing deeper. 20 minutes, Bora said, checking her communicator. We need to make a decision. Deho looked at the sisters. If you use your full power, what happens to you? We lose ourselves, Hana said. The more power we channel, the more we become what we were designed to be. Pure weapons. Pure destruction. If we go too far, we might not be able to come back. But you said if we keep talking to you, keep reminding you who you are, you can stay in control? Maybe, Yuri said. We have never tried it before. When we fought the Devourers, we let ourselves become weapons fully. It was easier that way. But now we have something to hold on to. You, Bora, Taemin. This new life we have found. That might be enough to anchor us. Or it might not be, Hana added. We could lose control and destroy this entire station and everyone in it. Deho stood and paced. The options were simple and terrible. Do nothing, and the raiders would kill them all. Surrender the sisters. And the raiders would probably kill them all anyway while taking 2 living weapons to use for evil. Fight conventionally and they had no chance of winning. Or let the sisters use their power and hope they could stay in control. What do you want to do? He asked the sisters. They looked at each other, having one of their silent conversations. Finally, both of them spoke at the same time. We want to protect our friends. Something in Deho's chest tightened. Friends. They had called them friends. All right, he said. Then we fight. But we do it smart. Bora, can you get us access to the station's systems from here? Bora moved to a terminal and started working. Maybe. What do you need? Information. Where are the raiders concentrated? Where is their command ship positioned? If the sisters are going to use their power, I want to make sure it hits the right targets. Got it. Her fingers flew over the keyboard. Looks like they have breached in 4 locations. Main force is pushing toward the central hub where the administrator's office is. They think that is where we would keep high-value prisoners. Smart. What about their ships? The command vessel is hanging back behind the other 5. Typical raider tactics. Commander stays safe while the troops do the dirty work. Can we reach it? Bora looked at him. With what? Our cargo hauler against their warship? That is suicide. Not if we are not alone. Deho turned to the sisters. Can you affect things in space? Outside the station? Yes, Yuri said. But the range is limited and it costs more energy. Why? Because if we take out the command ship, the rest might run. Raiders are mercenaries. Without their leader and without getting paid, they have no reason to keep fighting. That is a lot of assumptions, Taemin said. You have a better idea? He did not. The communicator crackled. Commander Corvin's voice came through again, cold and patient. 10 minutes remaining. I am impressed by your stubbornness, but it is time to be realistic. We have control of most of your station. Your security forces are scattered. You cannot win. Surrender the Harbingers now, and I give you my word that I will leave the rest of you alive. He is lying, Bora said. I just intercepted their internal communications. They have orders to eliminate all witnesses once they secure the targets. Of course he is lying, Deho said. The question is, can we stop them? Hana stood up. Her markings were beginning to glow brighter. We can try. But Deho, you need to understand. If we do this, we cannot go back. Everyone will know what we are. The whole galaxy will know 2 harbingers are awake and active. That will bring more people like Corvin, more people who want to use us. Then we deal with them when they come, Deho said. Right now we save the people on this station. Yuri joined her sister. You are a good person, Deho. Better than most. We are lucky we found you. You saved my life from boredom and loneliness, he replied. I am the lucky one, the sisters smiled. Then their expressions became serious, focused. The glow from their markings intensified, casting strange shadows around the room. Stay close to us, Hana said. Keep talking. Keep reminding us who we are. What do we say? Taemin asked. Anything. Tell us stories. Ask us questions. Just keep us connected to you, to this moment, to being people. Bora pulled up a map of the station. The fastest route to the docking bay is through the maintenance corridor on level 3. But there are raiders between here and there. Then we go through them, Yuri said. They moved out into the corridor. Immediately they could see the damage the raiders had done. Bodies of security personnel lay where they had fallen. Smoke filled the air. Sparks rained from broken conduits, and then they saw the raiders themselves. A group of 6, heavily armored, moving down the corridor toward them. They spotted Deho's group and raised their weapons. Before they could fire, Hana raised her hand. Light exploded from her palm, a beam of pure energy that hit the raiders like a hammer. Their armor melted, their weapons dissolved. They fell without making a sound. Hana swayed on her feet. Deho caught her arm. Talk to me, she said, her voice strained. Please say anything. You're okay, Deho said quickly. You are Hana. You like learning about engines, and you ask too many questions, and you smile when Bora tells jokes even though half the time you do not understand them. Hana focused on his voice. The wild light in her eyes dimmed slightly. Good. Keep going. They moved forward, deeper into the chaos. He thought he saved 2 alien sisters, but the raiders' siege showed why they'd been sealed away. Part 5, the maintenance corridor, was a war zone. Deho and his group moved through the smoke and destruction, encountering raiders at every turn. Each time Hana or Yuri would unleash their power, and each time Deho saw them slip a little further away from themselves. Yuri's eyes glowed brighter with each use of her abilities. The markings on her skin spread, covering more of her body in pulsing light. When she spoke, her voice sometimes echoed with harmonics that should not exist. Hana was holding together better, but only barely. She kept her hand on Deho's arm as they walked, using his physical presence to anchor herself to reality. They found a group of civilians trapped in a collapsed section. 20 people, including children, blocked behind fallen debris with raiders closing in from the other side. We have to help them, Taemin said. Yuri stepped forward before anyone could stop her. She placed her hands on the massive pile of twisted metal and closed her eyes. Her body began to glow brighter and brighter until it hurt to look at her directly. The debris lifted into the air as if weightless, tons of metal floating like paper in the wind. Yuri moved it aside carefully, creating a path for the civilians to escape. Go, Bora shouted at them. Get to the central shelter, move! The civilians ran, some of them crying, others too shocked to speak. A mother carrying a child stopped to look at Yuri with wide eyes. Thank you, she whispered, but Yuri did not respond. Her eyes were blank, glowing white, seeing something far beyond this moment. The debris she held in the air began to vibrate, resonating with dangerous energy. Yuri, Deho shouted. Come back to us. No response. The glow intensified. Hana grabbed her sister's face. Yuri, listen to me. Remember the stars. Remember watching them from the ship window. Remember asking Deho about the constellations and learning their names. Remember being free. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Yuri blinked. The white glow faded from her eyes, replaced by violet. The debris fell harmlessly to the side, no longer vibrating with destructive energy. I am sorry, Yuri whispered. I almost lost myself. But you did not, Deho said. You came back. That is what matters. They continued toward the docking bay, fighting their way through corridor after corridor. The raiders were everywhere now, and they had realized something unusual was happening. Reports were flying over their communications. Target signatures detected in Sector 7. Multiple casualties. Cause unknown. I just watched my entire squad get erased by some kind of energy beam. What the hell are we fighting? Commander Corvin's voice cut through the chatter. All units converge on Sector 7. The harbingers are there. Capture them at any cost. They know where we are, Bora said. Good, Hana replied. Her voice was strange, layered with harmonics. Let them come. A force of 30 raiders appeared at the end of the corridor, blocking their path. They opened fire immediately, a wall of plasma and bullets screaming toward them. Hana threw up her hand. The shot stopped in midair, frozen as if time itself had paused. She flicked her wrist and the projectiles reversed direction, flying back at their sources. Raiders fell by the dozens, but more kept coming. They poured in from side corridors, from above, from below. The station was crawling with them. Yuri moved to stand beside her sister. Together, they raised their hands. The air between them began to shimmer and twist. Reality bent. A wave of force exploded outward, invisible but unstoppable. Raiders were thrown back, their armor cracking, their weapons shattering. The walls groaned and buckled. Lights exploded in showers of sparks. When the wave passed, 30 raiders lay unconscious or worse. The sisters stood in the center of the devastation, glowing like stars. They are too powerful, Taemin whispered. Nobody should have this much power. That is why they were sealed away, Bora said. Daeho moved between them and the sisters. Stop it, both of you. They are still on our side. They are still our friends. But watching Hana and Yuri stand there, wreathed in light, barely recognizable as the gentle beings he had come to know, Daeho felt a cold fear. What if they could not come back this time? What if the power consumed them completely? He approached Hana carefully. Hey, look at me. Her head turned slowly. Her eyes were more white than violet now. We need to get to the ship, he said calmly. We need to stop the command vessel, remember? That is the plan. For a moment, she just stared at him. Then recognition flickered in her eyes. Daeho, she said, and her voice was almost normal. Yes, the plan. They made it to the docking bay, but it was occupied. A full platoon of raiders had taken position there, waiting for them. At their head stood someone different. Taller than the others, wearing ornate armor marked with symbols of rank, Commander Corvin himself. He was not human. His species was something Daeho did not recognize, with 4 arms and a face hidden behind a helmet. When he spoke, his voice was amplified by his suit. So these are the legendary harbingers. I must admit I am disappointed. You look like frightened children. We are not children, Yuri said. Her voice had that harmonic quality again, echoing with power. And you should not have come here. I am being paid 20 million credits to bring you in, Corvin said. For that kind of money I will face anything. By who? Daeho demanded. Who hired you? Corvin laughed. Does it matter? Someone who knows what they are worth. Someone who wants to own the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. We are not weapons, Hana said. Of course you are. That is all you have ever been. That is all you will ever be. Something changed in Hana's expression. The humanity drained from her face, replaced by something cold and ancient. You are wrong, she said, and her voice was terrible. We were weapons, but we are so much more than that now. The air pressure in the bay dropped suddenly. Everyone's ears popped. The raiders began backing away, sensing danger even if they did not understand it. Hana, wait, Daeho said. But she was not listening anymore. Neither was Yuri. They stepped forward together, moving in perfect sync, their bodies blazing with light. Corvin fired first. His personal weapon, some kind of heavy plasma cannon, unleashed a bolt of superheated energy. It struck Hana directly in the chest. The blast should have vaporized her. Instead, she absorbed it. The energy flowed into her body, making her glow even brighter. Impossible, Corvin whispered. The sisters raised their hands. Energy crackled between their fingertips, building, growing, becoming something massive. The entire bay began to shake. Fall back, Corvin shouted to his troops.
Everyone fall back now.
But it was too late. The energy released in a focused beam that cut through the raiders like they were made of paper. Armor melted. Weapons exploded. Bodies fell. Corvin tried to run. He made it 3 steps before Yuri appeared in front of him, moving faster than thought. She grabbed him with one glowing hand and lifted him off the ground like he weighed nothing. Who hired you? She asked. Her voice was wrong, layered with dozens of tones. I will never tell, Corvin gasped. You will. Yuri's hand glowed brighter. Corvin screamed. Information flooded into her mind, pulled directly from his thoughts. Every memory, every secret, every bit of data stored in his brain. Then she dropped him. He fell to the ground, alive but broken. The Kalen, Yuri said, turning to face the others. Some of them survived. They have been searching for us for thousands of years. They want to rebuild, to become powerful again, and they need their weapons to do it. Your own people did this? Bora asked. They are not our people, Hana said. Her voice was barely recognizable. They are slavers, monsters, and they will pay for what they have done. Deho saw the look in her eyes and felt true fear. This was not Hana anymore. This was a harbinger, a living weapon, and it was angry. Hana, listen to me, he said carefully. We need to leave. We need to get everyone to safety. There is no safety while they hunt us, she replied. We need to end this permanently. How? She looked at him, and for just a second he saw his friend underneath all that power. We use our full strength. We find every ship they have in this sector and we destroy them. All of them. We make sure they never hurt anyone again. If you do that, you will not come back, Deho said. You will lose yourselves completely. Better that than letting them win. Better that than letting them use us. Yuri moved to stand beside her sister. He is right. This is the only way. No. Deho stepped between them and the exit. There's always another way. You taught me that. When you saved those workers, you could have let them die. Nobody would have blamed you. But you risked everything to save them because that is who you are. Not weapons. Not destroyers, saviors, the sisters hesitated. The glow around them flickered. We are tired, Hana whispered. We have been running for so long, fighting for so long. We just want it to end. Then end it by living, Deho said. End it by proving you are more than what they made you to be. We will find another way to stop them. Together. For a long moment, nobody moved. The bay was silent except for the groaning of damaged metal and the distant sounds of battle elsewhere in the station. Then slowly, the light began to fade from the sisters. Their markings dimmed. Their eyes returned to violet. They collapsed, and Deho caught them both before they hit the ground. I have got you, he said. You are safe. Above them, through the bay's observation window, they could see the Raider command ship. It was pulling back, retreating now that its leader had fallen. He thought he saved 2 alien sisters, but the Raiders' siege showed why they'd been sealed away. Part 6, 3 days after the battle. Farpoint Station was still cleaning up the damage. 47 people had died during the raid, with twice that number injured. Entire sections of the station were exposed to vacuum and needed to be sealed off. The survivors were angry, frightened, and looking for someone to blame. They found their targets easily enough. Hana and Yuri were confined to the medical bay under armed guard. Not because they were prisoners exactly, but because half the station wanted them gone and the other half wanted them locked up permanently. The administrator, a careful man named Park, was trying to find a solution that would not result in a riot. Deho spent most of his time in the medical bay with the sisters. They had barely spoken since the battle, lost in their own thoughts. When they did talk, it was in whispers, as if they were afraid their voices would carry too much power. Bora and Tai Min visited regularly, bringing food and news from outside. It is getting worse, Bora said on the 3rd day. Someone painted monsters on your ship last night. Security caught them, but the sentiment is spreading. What does Park want to do? Deho asked. He is meeting with the station council today. Word is they are going to vote on whether to expel you and the sisters. Some are pushing for more extreme measures, like what? Bora did not meet his eyes. Like handing them over to the galactic authorities. Let someone else deal with the problem. Deho looked at the sisters. They had heard every word but showed no reaction. They saved this station, he said. How can people forget that so quickly? They are scared, Taemin said. They saw what Hana and Yuri can do. They saw their friends die. Fear makes people do stupid things. That night, Deho sat with the sisters in their room. The guards were outside, giving them a moment of privacy. I am sorry, Hana said suddenly. We brought this danger to you, to everyone here. You did not ask to be hunted, Deho replied. But we knew it would happen eventually. The moment I used my power to save those workers, I sent out a signal. I knew someone might detect it, and I did it anyway. Because you wanted to save lives. That does not make you a monster. Yuri stood and walked to the small window. Do you know what the worst part is? They are right to fear us. We almost lost control during the battle. If you had not been there talking to us, anchoring us, we would have destroyed everything. The raiders, the station, all of it. But you did not. This time. What about next time? What happens when we use our power again? And there is no one there to bring us back. Deho did not have an answer for that. The door opened and Bora stepped in, her face grim. The council voted. You have 24 hours to leave the station. All of you. What about repairs? Deho asked. My ship took damage during the battle. They do not care. 24 hours or they will revoke your docking rights by force. After Bora left, they sat in silence. Finally, Hana spoke. We have been talking, Yuri and I. We think we should surrender. To who? To the Kalen. They are looking for us. They will keep sending raiders, keep attacking innocent people until they find us. If we go to them willingly, maybe they will stop. They will turn you into weapons, Deho said. You will lose yourselves completely. Better us than thousands of innocent people, Yuri said. We have lived long enough, longer than we ever should have. That is not your choice to make, Deho stood up angry now. You do not get to give up just because things are hard. You taught me that. When you saved those workers, when you fought the raiders, you showed me what real courage looks like, and now you want to throw it all away. What else can we do? Hana asked, tears in her eyes. We are a danger to everyone around us. Then we figure out how to control it. We find a way to help you stay in control permanently. There is no such way. Then we make one. The sisters looked at him with such sadness that it hurt. You have too much faith in us, Yuri said. No. I have exactly the right amount. The next morning, Deho woke to find the sisters gone. Their beds were empty, the guards unconscious but alive outside the door. A note lay on the pillow. We are sorry. This is the only way. Thank you for showing us what it means to be free, even if only for a little while. Be happy, be safe. Remember us as we were, not as what we will become. Deho ran. He found Bora and Taemin, and together they raced to the docking bay. They were too late. A small shuttle was already pulling away from the station, heading out into space. Can we catch them? Deho demanded. Bora checked her instruments. Maybe, but Deho, look, she pointed at the scanner. 3 Kalen ships were approaching, their signatures matching the energy patterns Corvin had shown them. The sisters were flying straight toward them. They are surrendering, Taemin whispered. No. Deho grabbed his communicator. Hana, Yuri, do not do this. Come back, static, please. We can find another way, more static. Then Hana's voice, barely a whisper. Goodbye, Deho. Thank you for everything. The channel went dead. Deho watched helplessly as the shuttle approached the Kalen ships. They opened their docking bays, ready to receive their prize. In minutes, it would be over. The sisters would be prisoners again, locked away or turned into weapons, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Bora put a hand on his shoulder. I am sorry. Then something strange happened. The shuttle stopped moving. It hung in space, not docking, not fleeing, just sitting there. What are they doing? Taemin asked. The answer came a moment later. The shuttle began to glow. Not the white-blue glow of engines, but the violet light of the sisters' power. It grew brighter and brighter until it was painful to look at. They are using their power, Bora said. But for what? Deho understood. They are not surrendering. They are attacking. The light exploded outward in a focused beam that struck the lead Kalen ship. Its shields held for exactly 2 seconds before collapsing. The beam punched through the hull like it was made of tissue paper, and the ship broke apart. The other 2 Kalen vessels opened fire, but their weapons could not touch the shuttle. Every shot either missed or was absorbed. The sisters were beyond such things now. Another beam of light. Another ship destroyed. The 3rd vessel tried to flee, jumping to faster-than-light speed. But space itself bent around the shuttle, creating a gravitational well that pulled the ship back into normal space. It did not have time to scream before the light consumed it. In less than 3 minutes, 3 warships were reduced to debris. Dear God, Taemin whispered. The shuttle turned back toward the station. As it approached, Deho could see through the cockpit window. The sisters sat in the pilot seats, their entire bodies glowing with power, their eyes pure white. They have lost control, Bora said. We need to evacuate the station now. But Deho was already moving, running back to the docking bay where the shuttle was landing. He had to try. He had to reach them before it was too late. The shuttle touched down. The door opened. Hana and Yuri stepped out, and they were terrifying. The air around them crackled with energy. Their skin was translucent, showing the power flowing through them like veins of light. When they moved, reality seemed to bend around them. Station security had their weapons trained on the sisters, but nobody was stupid enough to fire. Deho walked forward slowly, hands raised. Hana, Yuri, can you hear me? They turned to look at him. Their faces were expressionless, alien. It is me. Daeho, remember? We sat together and ate dinner. We talked about the stars. You asked me to help you stay human. No response. They just stared at him with those glowing white eyes. I know you are in there somewhere. I know you can hear me. Come back, please. One of them, Hana maybe, tilted her head slightly. Daeho, she said, and her voice was like thunder. We remember, but we cannot stop. The power has us now. We tried to use it one more time to save you from the Kalan, but now it will not let us go. Then I will help you hold on, Daeho said. Just like before. Just talk to me. Tell me what you are feeling. We feel nothing. Everything. Too much. We are becoming something else. Something that should not exist. Daeho took another step closer. Security was yelling at him to get back, but he ignored them. You are still you. Still Hana and Yuri. Still the two people who learned to laugh at Bora's jokes and who cried when you saw your first sunset from the observation deck. You are still here, are we? We destroyed 3 ships full of people, killed them without mercy, without hesitation. What does that make us? It makes you survivors. It makes you protectors. Those ships were coming to enslave you. You had every right to defend yourselves. Slowly, painfully, the light began to dim, just a little. We are so tired, Yuri said, and now her voice was almost normal. We have fought for so long. Then rest, Daeho said. Let the power go. Come back to us. If we let it go, we will be vulnerable. The Kalan will just send more ships. Then we will face them together. But you do not have to be weapons anymore. You can just be people. The sisters looked at each other. The glow was fading faster now, returning to normal. But Daeho could see the cost. They were shaking, barely able to stand. Together, Hana whispered. We can be together. The light went out. The sisters collapsed. Daeho caught them both, holding them as the medical bay was crowded with officials, scientists, and military personnel from a dozen different governments. Word of what happened at Farpoint had spread across human space and beyond. Within 48 hours, everyone wanted answers about the 2 beings who had destroyed 3 warships with their bare hands. Hana and Yuri were unconscious for 3 days. When they finally woke, they found themselves in a reinforced room with guards outside and monitoring equipment covering every surface. Daeho sat beside their beds, refusing to leave despite orders from station security. You stayed, Hana said, her voice weak. Of course I did. Where else would I be? Yuri sat up slowly. We expected to wake up in chains, or not wake up at all. A lot of people wanted that, Daeho admitted. There were some very heated discussions about what to do with you. But we had supporters too. The families you saved, the workers whose lives you protected. They spoke up for you. And what was decided? Nothing yet. Representatives from the Galactic Council are on their way. They want to hold a formal hearing to determine your legal status. The hearing took place 1 week later in Farpoint's main assembly hall. Every available space was packed with observers. News feeds from across known space were broadcasting live. This was the most important legal case in centuries. The council representatives sat at a long table. Humans, aliens from a dozen species, all looking grave and official. At the center sat Ambassador Chen, a woman known for her fairness and wisdom. Hana and Yuri stood before them, still weak but upright. Daeho, Bora, and Taemin stood behind them as witnesses. Let us begin, Ambassador Chen said. We are here to determine the legal and moral status of the beings known as Hana and Yuri, the last known harbingers of the Kalan species. They are accused of multiple counts of destruction of property and loss of life. They were defending themselves, Daeho interrupted. You will have your chance to speak, Mr. Kim, the ambassador said calmly. First, we must hear from the Kalan themselves. A door opened at the back of the hall. 3 figures entered, tall and elegant with silver skin and eyes like liquid mercury, the surviving Kalan. They wore robes marked with ancient symbols and moved with the confidence of beings who had once ruled an empire. The lead Kalan spoke, her voice musical but cold. I am Elder Saren. I speak for the Kalan remnant. We thank the council for allowing us to present our case. You may proceed, Ambassador Chen said. Elder Saren gestured to the sisters. These beings are our property. They were created by our ancestors for a specific purpose. When that purpose ended, they were too dangerous to remain active. They were sealed away for the safety of all. By releasing them, this human has committed a grave crime. They are not property, Daeho said loudly. They are people. They are weapons. Bioengineered tools designed for war. They have no more rights than a missile or a bomb. I have heard enough of this, Hana said, her voice carrying across the hall. You want to talk about what we are? Fine. Let us talk about what you are. You are the descendants of cowards who built us to fight your wars. You are the children of people who locked away their saviors because you were afraid of your own creations. You are nothing. The hall erupted in noise. Ambassador Chen called for order. Elder Saren's expression did not change. You prove my point. You are aggressive, dangerous, unstable. You must be contained. For what? Yuri asked. So you can rebuild your empire? Use us to conquer others? We know why you have been hunting us. We pulled the information from Commander Corvin's mind. You want to collect all 12 Harbingers and use us to restore the Kalan to power. That is a lie. Is it? Then why were you paying raiders to capture us alive? Why not just destroy us if we are so dangerous? Elder Saren had no answer. Ambassador Chen leaned forward. This accusation is serious. Elder Saren, do you have evidence that the Harbingers must be contained for public safety? Or do you simply want to reclaim them for your own purposes? Before the elder could respond, another voice spoke from the back of the hall. I can answer that. Everyone turned. An old man in simple clothes walked forward. He moved slowly, supported by a cane, but his eyes were sharp and clear. Who are you? Ambassador Chen asked. My name is Professor Li. I have spent 40 years studying the ancient Kalan civilization. I have records recovered from archaeological sites that detail the Harbinger project. He pulled out a datapad and transmitted files to the council's screens. The Harbingers were designed to be self-aware. The Kalan wanted warriors who could think, adapt, and make decisions. But they underestimated what they created. The Harbingers developed not just intelligence, but empathy, compassion. They became more human than their creators. Elder Saren stood abruptly. These records are incomplete. They do not tell the full story. Then tell us the full story, Ambassador Chen demanded. Why were they sealed away? The elder's composure cracked. Because they were too powerful. Yes, they won the war for us. Yes, they saved our civilization. But do you understand what it is like to live with beings who can crack planets? Who can bend reality itself? Every day we lived in fear that they would decide they did not want to serve anymore. That they would turn their power on us. So you locked them away without trial, Professor Li said. Without giving them a choice. You treated your saviors like criminals. We did what was necessary. You did what was convenient. The hall fell silent. All eyes were on Ambassador Chen. She studied the evidence, read through the files, and finally looked up. I have made a decision. The Harbingers Hana and Yuri are declared sentient beings with full legal rights under galactic law. They are not property. They cannot be owned, enslaved, or contained without due process. Elder Saren's face darkened. This is a mistake. You are unleashing forces you cannot control. Perhaps, the ambassador said, but enslaving sentient beings is a greater evil than any theoretical danger. However, there are conditions. She turned to the sisters. You will be required to register with the Galactic Council. Your movements will be monitored, not as prisoners, but as beings of significant power who must be accounted for. Any use of your abilities must be reported and justified. And you will work with us to locate and protect the other 10 Harbingers, to ensure they are not weaponized by those with ill intent. What if they refuse? Someone in the crowd shouted. Ambassador Chen smiled slightly. Then they will be treated as free citizens with the right to refuse. But I suspect they will accept. They have already shown they care about protecting others. Hana and Yuri looked at each other. Then Hana spoke. We accept your terms. We will help protect the others like us. We will prove we are more than weapons. The hearing ended with mixed reactions. Some celebrated the decision. Others protested it loudly. The Kalan delegation left in anger, making vague threats about legal challenges. But that night, in the quiet of Daeho's ship, the small crew celebrated. To freedom, Bora said, raising a cup of cheap wine. To friendship, Taemin added. To new beginnings, Daeho said. Hana and Yuri smiled, and for the first time since waking from their ancient sleep, they looked truly happy. What happens now? Yuri asked. Now we find the others, Daeho said. Before someone else does. We make sure they get the same choice you got, freedom or servitude, and we help them choose freedom. That could take years, decades even. Then it is a good thing we have time. Hana looked out the window at the stars. There are 10 of them out there, our brothers and sisters, sleeping in their prisons waiting for someone to find them. And what if they do not want to be free? Taman asked. What if they want to be weapons? Then we stop them, Yuri said simply. We were built to fight. If necessary, we will fight our own kind to protect innocent lives. You will not be alone, Deho said. We will be with you, all of us. That is what friends do. The ship's engines hummed to life. Farpoint Station fell away behind them as they accelerated toward open space. Their destination was unknown, their path uncertain, but they moved forward together. 3 weeks later, they received their first lead. An energy signature matching a stasis pod had been detected in a remote system. Someone was already digging, trying to open it. How long until we arrive? Hana asked. 4 days if we push the engines, Bora said. Then push them. We need to get there first. As they traveled, Deho thought about everything that had happened. He had set out looking for salvage and found so much more. Purpose, family, a cause worth fighting for. The sisters spent their time training, learning to control their power in small, precise ways. No more wild releases of energy, no more losing themselves to the weapon inside. They practiced every day, anchoring themselves to their humanity through memories, through connection, through the simple act of choosing who they wanted to be. On the 4th day, they arrived at the coordinates. A small mining operation was set up on an airless moon, and at its center they found it. Another stasis pod, identical to the one Deho had discovered. Do you think they are like us? Hana asked, staring at the pod. Do you think they will want freedom? Only one way to find out, Deho said. They approached together. Deho reached for the release mechanism, then paused and looked at the sisters.